Welcome back to Short Splits. I'm Jared. Today, we're covering the brief history of haunted attractions. Before we get into that, here's Jimmy J.
Friday the 13th weekend, May 13th and 14th, it is all going down right here on the grounds of the Blairstown Diner. Lauren Marie Taylor, Ron Milkey, Ron Sloan, Debbie Voorhees, Tracy Savage. I mean, we have a lineup of guests coming out for the weekend. And not only are we celebrating Friday the 13th, but we are celebrating 13 Fanboy. And with that being said, we have the lead actress, Haley Greenbauer herself, making her way to Blairstown. This is history in the making, folks. Get your tickets now. F13 Minicon.eventbrite.com. That is F13 Minicon.eventbrite.com. Jason's here early. Folks, like I said, it's going to be a killer weekend in Blairstown, going down at the iconic Blairstown Diner. Be a part of the history in the making. We'll see you there.
Damn, she almost knocked Jimmy J's eye right out. But go check him out. You got the link. Go make it happen. Friday the 13th. Good Lord. Field of Screams will be open March 12th for St. Paddy's Day. We will be in attendance. Come check us out. Here we go. That reminds me, after I'm done recording this, which is way earlier than you're going to watch it, I need to buy my tickets. Me and the wife are going up for the weekend. Also open, Brighton Asylum, March 12th. St. Paddy's Sleigh. Let's see it. You head to BrightonAsylum.com now for your tickets. Today, like I said, a brief history of haunted attractions. Doesn't start where you think it might or when. So, this is from Wikipedia. You know how Wikipedia works, but I've looked into a little bit of this and it kind of makes sense. So, let's get to it. One of the first recorded purpose-built haunted attractions was the Orton and Spooner Ghost House, which opened in 1915 in Liphook, England. Closely resembling a carnival funhouse, it was powered by steam. It still exists in the Hollycombe Steam Collection. The background for the creation of the Orton and Spooner Ghost House might be seen in 18th and 19th century London and Paris, when literature, performances by magicians, spiritualists, and psychics, as well as theatrical shows and attraction, introduced the public to gruesome entertainment. In 1802, Marie Tussaud scandalized British audiences with an exhibition of wax sculptures of decapitated victims of the French Revolution, including King Louis, Marie Antoinette, Robespierre, Jean-Paul Marat. Her exhibit exists today as the Chamber of Horrors in Madame Tussauds in London. In France, from 1897, the Grand Guignol Theatre was scaring audiences with graphically staged horror entertainment. The Phantasmagoria show existed even earlier, but a well-known version in 1797 Paris was the Phantasmagorie, which made use of magic lantern projections and crude special effects. Wow, so this goes back. Halloween-themed haunted houses in America seem to begin emerging during the Great Depression. about the same time as trick-or-treating. During the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, it was common for magicians to use supernatural themes in their stage performances, which also evolve into the tradition of a traveling ghost show, also referred to as a spook show or creep show, and incorporate comedy, displays of mentalism, and theatrical special effects. During the 1950s, these specialized shows were often performed as pre-show entertainment before screenings of popular horror movies. The Haunted Mansion opened in Disneyland on August 9th, 1969, and was highly successful, soon gaining a single-day record of 82,516 guests. Wow. In 1973, Knott's Berry Farm began hosting its own Halloween night attraction, Knott's Scary Farm. Christians became early adopters of the alternate Halloween attractions. Jerry Falwell and Liberty University introduced one of the first Hell Houses in 1972. These were much different than haunted attractions. They would show you what would happen if you sinned. Creepy. During the late 1950s, California was a focus for Halloween haunts. In 1957, the San Mateo Haunted House opened, sponsored by the Children's Health Home Junior Auxiliary. The San Bernardino Assistance League Haunted House opened in 1958. In 1962 and 63, home haunts began appearing across the country, including Oregon, California, Connecticut, Illinois, and several other states. On October 17th, 1964, the San Mateo Haunted House opened as a walk-through haunted house. The Children's Museum Haunted House in Indianapolis, opened every year since 1964, was Indiana's first haunted house and is currently the longest running in the nation. Haunted houses quickly spread across the country via charity fundraisers conducted by the United States Junior Chamber, the JCs, and others. The JCs encouraged its membership to construct haunted houses in abandoned buildings or fields as charity fundraising events, and the organization became known for these houses throughout America. In the late 1960s to early 70s, haunted attractions were developed in larger American cities like Louisville, Kentucky, and Cincinnati, Ohio, with the creation of JC's haunted houses. These haunted houses are run by local chapters of the JCs. There are still many local chapter JCs haunted houses in towns such as Lombard, Illinois, Foxborough, Massachusetts, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Columbia, South Carolina. The former Huntington JC's haunted house, now known as the Haunted Hotel 13th Floor, was operated by volunteers in October 1963. The first verifiable JC's haunted attraction, as recognized by the JC's National Office, was the Wsai Haunted House in Cincinnati, Ohio, operated by the Sycamore Deer Park JC's in 1970. In 1974, this haunted schoolhouse, located in Akron, Ohio, opened to the public and is still in operation to this day. The March of Dimes copyrighted a mini haunted house for the March of Dimes in 1976 and began fundraising through their local chapters by conducting haunted houses soon after. Although they apparently quit supporting this type of event nationally sometime in the 1980s, some MOD haunted houses have persisted until today. This includes the Spooky Acres Haunted House in Norfolk, Virginia. Others opened during this period include one in Indio, California in 76, one in Salt Lake City, Utah in 89, one in Honolulu, Hawaii in 97. March of Dime haunted houses continue much beyond the late 1980s, would be considered outliers. The beginning of the end for the charity haunts can be traced to a singular event. The haunted castle at Six Flags Great Adventure caught on fire the evening of May 11th, 1984, in Jackson Township, New Jersey. 8 teenagers sadly lost their lives in the fire. There were criminal charges filed, civil lawsuits, numerous investigations, and the inevitable result that fire safety laws, building codes, and inspections were tightened up considerably nationwide. The net effect would make charity attractions less economically viable than they were before. Better construction materials were required, and fire safety equipment was required, making a temporary venue too expensive for many charities to afford. As a result, the larger, better funded for profit operators moved in as the charities moved out. The fire caused wide ranging changes for all amusement buildings. Previously, operators were able to avoid fire codes because such attractions were used temporarily. The Haunted Castle fire pointed to an unattractive reality that forced tighter regulation, and it was needed. Professional haunted houses began to show up in the United States about the same time as the nonprofits. However, subsequent to the Haunted Castle fire, many existing haunted attractions were shut down, as politicians and regulators enacted stronger safety codes. Volunteer, aka nonprofit organizations, struggled to compete against the new for-profit competition under the tougher rules. Many were forced out of the business either from the added competition or the inability to fund safety requirements. The JCs got pushed out because their haunted houses were fairly basic. Currently, in the United States alone, there are over 4,000 October seasonal haunted houses in the United States every year and 300 theme parks that operate horror-themed events. Over 3,000 haunts are charity-run fundraisers. In order to increase off-season attendance, theme parks entered the business seriously in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Six Flags launched Fright Fest in 1986 to 1989, and Universal Studios began Halloween Horror Nights in 1991. Although Knott's Berry Farm launched their Knott's Scary Farm in 1973, given America's obsession with Halloween and a cultural event surging in the 1990s, Knott's saw their attraction take off. Theme parks have played a major role in globalizing the holiday. Universal Studios Singapore and Universal Studios Japan both participate, while Disney now mounts Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween events at its parks in Paris, Hong Kong, and Tokyo, as well as in the United States. The theme park haunts are by far the largest, both in scale and attendance. That's pretty cool. While many cultures have Halloween and Halloween-like traditions, many of which have been absorbed by Americans, physical locations where simulated haunted houses are created seem to have been uniquely American invention. But you can see it started in England early. The American haunted attraction has recently begun to be exported elsewhere. From the early 2000s, with the theme parks playing a major role in globalizing the holiday, as they often have an international presence. The clearest examples are Universal Studios, which has exported its HHN to its parks in Singapore and Japan, and Six Flags, which has been celebrating its Fright Fest at its locations in Mexico, Canada. Disney now mounts Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween in Paris, Hong Kong, and Tokyo, as well as the United States. Overseas operators of themed attractions have also followed the American trend. Examples include Fright Nights at Thorpe Park in Surrey, England, Scarefest at Alton Towers in Staffordshire, England, and Fright Nights at Warner Brothers Movie World in Queensland, Australia. So, you're never going to track down what the first attraction was, because we've been trying to scare people since the 1700s. People like to be scared. It's a way of life. Some cool little details into our haunted attractions. One event changed the whole industry, and luckily the industry was able to evolve and overcome, and really, you're a lot safer at these places now because of it, and it's a good thing. I'm Jared. This has been Short Splats. I'm out.